Welcome to a BlockU quick tip. Today I just want to have a look at the OBJ sequences. So let's just delve into the pack. And as you can see, you've got a selection of sequences here plus a practice replicator object. Let's just add that. It's on layer 1, but it needs to be changed to a replicator. Let's just add a couple of materials. And let's just add a couple of sequences. And hit OK. So first of all, the settings in Element itself are only recognizing a point as a replicator, so I need to change that to a 3D object. Move back. It's only covering 10% at the moment, so let's bump that up to 100. Let's go to particle look and just change the size of the object to 5. So as you can see at the moment, it's a bit of a mess. That's because the OBJ sequences are aligning themselves to the surface of the object, and that's not what we want. So under particle look, we need to go to particle rotation and choose fixed. That's a lot better. So first thing I want to point out is that these OBJs are identical in size. And what that means is that when they overlap, they want to try and occupy the same 3D space. And any render engine really is going to have difficulty with that. This will create flickering, certain striation marks, just because there's some sort of confusion there in the algorithm. So what we need to go and do is go back into the setup, just choose any one, and if you've got more of these, then you need to choose them in succession and change their scale just to something slightly off. 99.9 will do it, and hit OK, and that's gone. So that has effectively fixed that problem. Sorry for the shifting around. So if we simply hit RAM preview, you'll notice they all come on at once and then shift into place. And that may be what you want, it may not be. It wasn't what I wanted for the preview. So I needed to come down to the a baked animation, and here we have some options. We have a frame offset and a frame offset R, which I presume to be random. And we just need to choose opposite, equal but opposite numbers here. So let's choose -50 and 50. Now we're going to get a problem here, but I'll just run a preview and let's have a look. So, but first let's just freeze at end and run it. Clearly that's not what we want. But a setting that we have in the sequences, if we go back into the pack, is to help with setting up. It's best to have these, and for me to even when I created the the assets themselves here. To get a screenshot, they need to be on the screen. So, but to help with setting up a project, it's best to have them at their final stage so that you can see what you're doing and you can align things up. But once that's all set in place, we need to go back and set them to 0. Hit OK. They should disappear. Hit RAM preview. And very similar to the promo, depending on how quickly you want them to come onto the screen, you simply change your frame offset. Okay. Simple but effective. Okay, well, let's just go into a new comp. Go back into Element. And I want to have a look at the sphere. Now, I put in several cubes with grow and shift from different directions. But there's only one sphere, grow and shift. What happens when you want to use that sphere shape and have it come from different directions? Well, you can have these objects grow and shift from any direction, but this is a good example of how you would use this in Element. So let's add a couple of these and add different materials. Now, you'll notice that for some reason in Element, their position, if you change their position, it doesn't seem to make any difference to the actual OBJ sequence for some reason. So we need to actually put them into folders. So we've got blue, red, and then when you change the transformation of the folder itself, then you've got control over where they are in 3D space. So you've got a couple of spheres here. They're both occupying the same 3D space, but we can't see both of them on the screen here at once. So we just need to put them into one more group folder so that we can see both of them and go from there. So you want a couple of spheres, a couple of different colors, and you want them to grow and shift from different directions. So how do we go about that? Let's choose top to begin with. Let's choose, say, 90 degrees. Now this is the point where they're going to end up. This is why it's important that we have the sequence near the end so we can see their finishing points. So this is going to be where they're going to end up, and we don't want that. We actually want them to end up in the same spot, but we want them to come from different directions. So once we change the orientation, now we can change the position to match the other one. Looks like. perspective, and you can see the same problem is happening here, but that's okay. It's only affecting this viewport, and they're actually going to be aligned along the vertices of this mesh object. So we're happy with that. Now we just need to pull them out of this group folder. Get rid of that and hit OK. Same again. Change the replicator to a 3D object, 100. Let's move back. Again, looking like a mess. Go to the particle look. You need to go to the particle rotation, hit fixed. And you can adjust the size. So that's it, maybe 6. Again, we need to go to the bait animation, frame offset, and 50. My apologies, we need to go back into the setup, reset these to 0. It should disappear as expected, and RAM preview. Okay, so let's just have a look at another situation where we may actually want the OBJ sequence to follow along the surface of the replicator. So let's just make this replicator. And add a couple of pins. And click OK. Go through the object. Play around with the size a little bit. Particle look. And you'll notice that when we have it set to follow along the surface, I mean, there's plenty of room for using your imagination there, but you may actually want the OBJ sequence to grow perpendicular to the surface of the sphere. So the easiest way to do that is to come back in here and find an orientation of the object that suits your needs. This is a little bit of trial and error, but for example, this pin, just reset all that. If we set this X value to 90 and the other one as well, so they're lying flat like that, and hit OK. We'll notice now that they're actually growing out from the sphere, which is what we want. So you can adjust the size of this replicator object where now they're growing perpendicular from the surface of the sphere. It is the same with the other objects as well. So we've got a grow and shift with the sphere. And this time you don't have to put them in their own folders, but you are looking for the same orientation. You're looking, there we go. You're looking for this type of orientation in the z-axis. So hit OK. So now we have the spheres growing and shifting perpendicular to the sphere of the surface of the sphere. Baked animation, freeze at end, -50, 50 random. Just duck back into scene setup and set this frame offset to 0. Okay. Brand preview. So that was just a brief overview of the OBJ sequences in the pack. I think you will find that they're quite flexible. Work with them, just experiment with them, see what you come up with. I hope this quick overview helped. My name is Martin Staley. Thanks for watching.